Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara. Episode 29. Shri Mahaswami, the sage with eyes of light, the diary of a seeker of truth, Dr.Serge Demetrian. Dear devotees, now we shall listen to the second section of part 2 of this divine book under the subtitle The Lotus Pond. By evening at 6 p.m., at the very moment I reached the hermitage, after a rest, he returned. He kept me near him for another 5 hours. He protected me during the time of the familiar shock of return. My nervous system could never have borne alone an experience as intense as that of this morning. Shri Mahaswami shows in a clear manner that he wants to educate me. Although due to certain traditional reasons he has not recognized me formally as his disciple, during the years the essential gestures of transmission have been indisputably accomplished. For the time being, he follows me by his look at the hermitage. Wherever I stand or sit, he sits always in such a way that I can clearly see him. Depending on my receptive capacities, he shows himself from front or in profile. The blessing by his naked foot is for me a discovery of these last months. It seems as powerful as that of the hands. In addition, it can be maintained for hours without drawing the attention of the public. Often he turns his feet into unnatural angles for the sake of a devotee who he wishes to bless. The soles of his feet are so much sought by experienced devotees. I never have seen such beautiful feet and better shaped for a person of his age. This despite of the thousands of kilometers he had walked barefooted. Sometimes I compare them with my feet ugly, full of knots, the sole hurt by stones, and the hot tar of the roads, covered with the scars of multiple small wounds as well as the bites of mosquitoes and other insects. In comparison, the feet of Shri Mahaswami seem newly carved out of precious marble stone from the workshop of some divine artist. The blessings during the frequent special pujas are very important to me. On other occasions also, he performs the same gestures. Sometimes, maybe in difficult situations, before transmitting the blessing, he draws large circles in the air. He cuts the space vertically and touches the left palm with the fingers of the right hand. He also performs these signs in the direction of the concerned person, like in my case. I have not seen him act the same way towards other visitors or devotees. These gestures can be performed discreetly as he talks with his assistants. For instance, every time when I am in his presence and he carries out these signs, I feel as if I am being worked upon, almost kneaded as a piece of dough by a certain force. Yesterday evening, wanting probably to strengthen the results of the blessing from the morning and prevent a reaction in my organism, Shri Mahaswami repeated during, it seemed, some elongated minutes a series of magic puja gestures directed towards me without himself performing any overt or visible puja. I was alone in front of him. As he had made all onlookers move away, I heard then what I had never heard before. That is, he would whistle clearly for a good half minute a single note quite high without any modulation, as if he wanted to call or pacify someone. Undoubtedly, I was the recipient of this sign. Soon afterward, he retired in his hut and lay on the bed. These conscious observations of mine cover probably only a very small portion of what really happens. The most important subtle work occurs unbeknown to the normal everyday consciousness. From out of the change in the deep layers of consciousness, what I can perceive, or better, what the daily consciousness while awake can perceive, is a transmutation of the personality. During the good days, I am nothing other than Sri Mahaswami. I do not talk of the meditation periods with their peak minutes, but of the hours of reading or studying at home and of the usual house activities or ordinary walking in the street. This happens in any place or at whatever time it may be. There is no more the question for someone, which is me, to feel that Sri Mahaswami moves my hand. It is only Sri Mahaswami who exists and who moves the hand of Sri Mahaswami. This applies to all actions, to the speech, and to the movements of the thought. The nervous fatigue after meditations is becoming shorter and less intense. For instance, some months ago, after an experience similar to that of this morning, I would have avoided Swamiji at least 2 or 3 days. Now he keeps me near him under different pretexts, sometimes for hours, no doubt, as to pacify the nervous system, the senses, and the mind that are affected by the sudden arrival of so much richness. In addition, these last days I was not permitted to read. Sri Mahaswami seemed for his project to have prohibited every pointless or less than useful mental activity. Yesterday night, after a short interval for dinner, I came back to the hermitage at 10:30 p.m. against my will. As soon as I was in front of the door of the hut, the consciousness of the body was blown by a sort of wind I was unable to localize. I was totally taken in charge of by the image of the great goddess, the good and powerful Kamakshi, who destroys the chains that bind the Purusha to the quintuple layers of the body. I left with a heart full of joy. The mental power of reason asks itself what is the meaning of the difficult hours that torture the Purusha with the illusion that he is bound to the body. Why is the separation from the body not instantaneous and total? The body should fall like a tree of ashes with all its vitality consumed by the fire of the knowledge of God. This morning, after a satisfactory rest, I arrived at the reservoir by 7. I felt as pulled and was in a good frame of mind for the matters of the spirit. I straightway saw Sri Mahaswami sitting in the hut. I observed his face from the left side. He was the destroyer, concentrated and severe. However, I did not feel any fear. I liked him even better, as I hoped that he would destroy all the attachments of the heart that restrains me to the transitory Hridaya Granthi, my number one and consuming problem. Although he did not turn his head, I prostrated. Standing up and looking at him, it was as if his left eye had become larger and radiated a muted luminosity. I went to the other side of the reservoir. My meditation started easily. I was compelled to purify myself by digging out the very roots of my present life. I saw myself before my birth, choosing the heavy family conditions that I had to bear, with the conviction that a difficult terrestrial life will remove the desire for new experiences in some other life. A spear of fire was in my hand, and with this weapon I was destroying everything that could bind me. As soon as an image appeared, be it more or less agreeable, or an idea of success or not, or of heroism or flight, all were transformed in nothingness. Finally, I was free of any image. Happy the one who is freed of the illusory forms of thought. For me, this is not yet the case. I am still obliged to be busy with the transitory. The pains of the spine that I suffered from these last days have much diminished. They were probably of nervous origin. I perceived some cracking sounds while moving the joints in a definite way. If I rub the painful points with vibhuti and apply kumkum on the neck, I feel the vertebrae fitting comfortably in their places. Now I am less compelled to lie down and perform a forceful flexing of the head in order to straighten the spine. Sleep without pillow is more convenient for me. 10 to 15 minutes of Hatha Yoga every day seem essential. Devotees, we shall continue to listen to the lotus pond in the coming episode, bowing at the holy feet of the Gurus. Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara.